It's me, Cappy. My mommy is the best. Superman will be next. She helps mommy. It looks smiles black. Your dick looks black. And this might go black. You wait for the straw. Brush. Get ready for It's Super Scrubby and Super Scrub.
Welcome to my Global Healing for the Soul podcast, sponsored by myself, Robin Stoltman, as I am America's #1 fertility and parenting mindset expert, a transformational resilience speaker, a coach and trainer for businesses and individuals. I'm also an author and a super mom of 11 biological children, having soon to be 8 C-sections in a row after overcoming infertility, using my fertility mindset program I created, with this being season number 6, episode number 26, where every week I feature different guests to help you and become the best version of yourself through different methods you may not have heard of or even thought of. So if you are ever looking for a virtual assistant who can edit and grow your social media content, book clients, and much more that all businesses require, I highly recommend Sphere Rocket for all your virtual assistant needs. The link to Sphere Rocket is at the bottom of this episode. So be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Healing for the Soul podcast and keep coming back for more. Now today, I have my guest, we'll go with
Estafana
Johnson. Thank you. And she is a licensed clinical social worker and experienced trauma therapist with over 2 decades of experience in mental health. She began her career in 2001 as a behavioral health technician, briefly stepping away in 2005 to teach in Japan. Her diverse background spans multiple roles and settings, including residential treatment for at-risk youth and medical social work, giving her a well-rounded perspective on mental health care. Thank you so much, Steph, for being here with our audience.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited that you're here. You've got quite the extensive background, which is awesome, especially because there isn't a whole lot of people trained specifically in trauma.
Yeah, even those of us that are, there's so much. It's so overwhelming how much is out there about this is the way, no, this is the way, or use it that way, or we find a gadget that really impacts and is powerful in one setting, and then we want to apply it to everyone, and it's like a all sizes fit one approach. And honestly, that's kind of the part that I kind of got, sick of. We're way more complicated than just like using one intervention.
True. I would agree with you on that one, because there's just so many different ways how to help somebody. And that's why I really like, even with my own self, with my own business and helping people, It's like you have to know different tools to fit the person. It's not a one size fits all. I wish it was, but at the same time.
Yeah, especially when it comes to like mental health. It has to be unique to the individual, because there's so many factors that impact why we do what we do, how we do it, what we identify as a problem. It gets very complicated very quick, and we try to get shortcuts to explain the problem, and I think that's where the actual problem starts. That's where we get stuck.
I would agree with you. So even with today's episode being, what is CMI? Does this have to do like why traditional therapy can feel or seem like it leaves trauma untouched?
Yes. So critical memory integration was developed out of this desire to discover like the truth underneath about what's happening. The approach itself, CMI, it's a process in which a therapist can guide you through an internal journey to identify what we call critical experiences or critical memories that are now driving your behavior in the now. So our brain's like a prediction machine, and it uses reference points from the past in navigating the world now, in everything from how we see ourselves and talk to ourselves, to how we interact with people, to how we interpret situations, and everybody's different. Where we get stuck might be a trauma, it might not be a trauma. That's why we call it critical experience. So it could just be a normal, thing that you learned at home with how you express things, but it's no longer appropriate or no longer effective for your life now. It doesn't match. So I give the example of like, here I learned to be polite by giving eye contact and shaking hands when you meet people. But when I lived in Japan, that was very not acceptable, right? In Japan, you don't do eye contact. It's rude to do eye contact. So you bow. And boy, it was a process to try to integrate myself into that society when I'm like the loud Hispanic that wants to not only shake your hand, but hug and kiss you on the cheek. Like that is definitely a no-no in Japan. So there's no trauma in there. That's just part of culture, and yet it doesn't match the situation, right? So think about it as anything that you do that doesn't match, doesn't always have to come from trauma, is probably being driven by some experience in the past that is outside of your conscious awareness. And this is where therapy sometimes gets stuck, is because it assumes what the problem is, and it might not even be the obvious thing. Might be some nuance or cultural aspect or other experience. Often is the thing that we didn't think impacted us that is what's causing the issues.
I like that, because I would agree with that, because I'm thinking back to all my hypnosis training, because I'm like, yeah, that's where I'm like, I clash myself, like even with the traditional talk therapy, because it's like it doesn't work for everybody, and it certainly hasn't, because there's a lot of people who have trauma that go expecting to get help, but they're not the same. And that's what I try to tell people. I'm like, there's a difference between like a trauma informed therapist that actually has the experience in doing it versus just like the ones that don't. Like I've tried to explain to people the differences between like the mental health worker versus the psychologist versus the one that's the trauma actual therapist.
Expert,
there is a difference between them. Like
huge
I've done
difference.
The research on them.
Yeah, huge difference. And I mean, the number one important thing is that you feel connected to the individual, because your nervous system is suspicious. Like if it does not feel safe, it ain't going nowhere. It's not healing nothing, right? But
Yep.
I totally empathize. So not to like disrespect any of my industry, my colleagues, because I myself was one of those ignorant people when I started in the field, and I was taught heavily like cognitive based approaches. You change the thinking errors, you address the distortions, you watch your self-talk, and you do affirmations and imagery. And I'm working with at-risk youth that had been adjudicated of horrific crimes, and they're in residential, and it was like an uphill battle, for one. For two, even those that did well and could like regurgitate word for word the stuff, they were like the group experts and could call out Johnny's thinking errors and Freddie's, behavior cycles. And then when the situation hit, it was like, it was all out the window. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? You must not really want to change, because clearly you have all the answers. And once you know better, you do better. Such an ignorant place to be, because it wasn't trauma informed. It's not considering the fact that our thinking is upstream from our feeling, upstream from our nervous system catching information. And once it's already kicked into fight or flight for whatever reason it thinks is a presented danger, we're no longer in the driver's seat. No amount of self-talk is going to tell your heart rate to slow down or to get out of fight or flight.
Yeah.
So yeah, no amount of self-talk, no amount of, doing affirmations is going to outcompete your nervous system response, which is wired to keep you alive. If it perceives a threat, it doesn't care about your opinion about its, self-talk or its thinking errors. It's going to do what it's wired to do to survive. And the problem is, Robin, this is the part that gets me so upset about my industry, is that when we don't understand that, and we go out and we preach about self-talk and do all this, it's so limited. There's truth to it, but it's limited truth. But then you have the individuals who come in with wholeheartedly looking for help. And now the professionals tell them that it's this that's the problem. But for them, it really isn't. There's something deeper that the professional doesn't understand. And the person takes it and interprets it as, see, I am broken beyond. Like even the best of mental health cannot fix me. And they internalize it. And it is so damaging when it comes to trauma, to have that misinformation out there. Is like, I'm not saying to stop talking about those things, because they are important, they are impactful, but it's not complete. It's not all of the truth.
Yeah, and I would agree with you, especially on that part, because that's where, even with the hypnotherapy, I've noticed that with a lot of people, they're like, well, do I have to talk about the problems? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? And it's like, no. There's
No.
so many tools where you don't even have to talk about the problem. You don't even have to think about it. But your body, the nervous system, is still the one in charge, like what you've said the whole time, because that's where the subconscious mind is ran. And that makes up 95% of all of our habits or beliefs, everything that we do on that autopilot. That's why we sit there and said about how we can do all the positive self-talk, but when you're in that moment and you need to pull up the information,
it's
overridden. Out the window.
It's out the window. And the hard part too is that the talking about it, you come with assumptions already. If you're talking about it, that means you already thought it out, and you think you know where the problem is. And that's where people get stuck in these circles. CMI is the antithesis to psychotherapy, I think, in some way, because I don't want to hear what you think the problem is. I want to know where the signal is. So if you come in and you tell me, Steph, like, I keep getting caught up in these like toxic relationships, and I get so attracted to these people that just like abuse me or, keep me. Why am I so messy? I don't want to talk about, well, what is the pattern with this and that? Like, let's check it out. What happens in your body when you tell me about that? That's what we call a signal. That thing is what's going to take you to truth. And that truth is so hidden often beneath your conscious awareness, you might not even make logical sense at first until you listen to it. That means you have to shut up.
That is true. that is very true. That's why
stop assuming. If you haven't got this way, the thinking and the making up and those type, it hasn't gotten you there yet. So how about we just try to be curious and see what it shows us?
Exactly. That's why I like what you said. That's where there's that, when you're in the silence, that's when it matters, because that silence gives you clues. That helps you out to figure out what's really going on. And there's so many things going on in this world that it's like, it's hard to silence all that noise when you're in it.
Yeah, well, and so many people have so many things going on in this world. Yeah. And they don't know how to silence it because they keep rationalizing or logicking through problems. It's a great skill to have, but it gets in the way of really connecting with your body, because your body doesn't use its same form of logic or reasoning.
No, it certainly does not. So how does the body keep score even when the memory fails?
Because people have a very distorted understanding of memory, very limited. So when we think of memory, I think the average person thinks of memory like, oh, I can recall something that I did, or memory goes far beyond that. There's like explicit memory of things that you can recall consciously, and then there's implicit memory, right? Like how to walk, that's in your muscles. You don't remember learning how to walk, but you know how to walk. That means you learned it at some point. So where's that information stored? Where's the data coming from?
True.
Right? How to eat. I mean, do you remember? I mean, you have babies, so they don't even know where their mouth hole is, right?
No, they don't.
They're so messy. And it's how did you learn to just eat without having to look for your mouth hole?
True.
Right? That's a memory too, and you're doing it without thinking. You could, drive, eat a burrito, and talk at the same time. I won't do that here, but but you can, like, over time. So where is that information stored? So there's all kinds of types of memories, and then you add to that, like, even the intelligence of your body knowing to do something. And then there's epigenetics. You ever heard of epigenetics?
Yes, I have. I
DNA.
love that.
And then it's like, poof, how can you remember that? You didn't exist yet, but you did because your DNA was in your mother's belly. But how do you address that with psychotherapy?
You can't.
Yet it impacts your experience as a human being, your journey. So all of those things is like, first we need to really understand what memory is. And it's not this limited thing that you have been reduced to. And a lot of modalities have kind of been based off of this reductionist perspective of a memory is something that you actively recall. Not always.
No, especially when it's the epigenetics part. That's the part that's very fascinating to me, because I know like a person can do past life regression, which I've trained in it, but it's also at the same time, it's kind of like when people, for hypnosis, for example, like one of the things that I've gotten asked is, well, can I help them find a memory that they can't remember on their own? And it's like, no ethical hypnotherapist or hypnotist will do that. If you have any ethics, you don't do that for the age regression where you bring a person back and all of that, because they have proven in multiple studies that when you bring a person back, when you're doing age regression is technically what it's called, is it creates false memories.
Yes.
And if the body doesn't remember it on its own, leave it alone, because eventually what I have found to be true is that over time, the body will remember on its own what happened.
Here's the kicker with that, Robin. I don't know if you know this, but did you know 50% of our memories are false?
Oh yes, I did know that one.
They're false anyway, right?
Yeah.
So
memory
even saying,
is
okay, we're
deletion, distortion. Yeah,
all the time. And how we remember things, there's my side, your side, and then the objective thing that happened. But even that could be interpreted differently by other people. So it's so much more complex. And when we get stuck on, okay, I'm not going to do this because we might do that, but you don't realize that that thing is already a factor, whether you move towards it or not, right? So
true.
So here's the thing that I find with CMI, right? So like, let's take, for example, how I was trained. There's modalities out there that are looking for like a negative cognition, and that's where they start. There's modalities that are looking for an image or a scene, and that's where they start. Some of them look for a somatic response, and that's where they start, right? There's different approaches to what they believe the problem is. We're saying the truth is it could be any one of those. It could show up in any one of those. And everything from the image could be upstream from something that's subconscious. So if it was something that you experienced when you were a newborn, like abandonment, attachment wounds that we know impact people all the time,
yes, they do.
You're not going to recall. You could be, oh yeah, I see myself 3 days old in the crib and mom just decided to leave for a few, like, unless someone told you about that, you might not recall it here, but your body's going to remember the abandonment, right? So that memory is stored somewhere. And I know there's this whole argument about like the body keeping the score. No, it's the neurons and the, come on now, people get like liver transplants and have new memories. So data's stored somewhere. It's stored everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
If you look at it like memory, is it interpreted in the brain? Yeah, probably. That's a liver can't think for itself, but it's the interpretation of that data. So whether the memory is the interpretation or the data itself, regardless, is we need to get to the proper place to really address these issues. And we can't do that looking in a place that we already assumed it's at.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, everything that you've said, because I'm right along with you, like in everything that I've learned, and I think it's very fascinating because it's like that's where I'm like I was excited for this episode, because I'm like, there's so many people that don't understand how their mind even works or why they're not getting the results that they want to have. And that's why when I came across for your profile and what it is that you're doing, I'm like, this is amazing, because how many people need this message? And then like how CMI can help people actually rewire their trauma responses.
Yes. So the process itself is an internal journey, right? And for clinicians, we start with clinicians training clinicians, because you have to know how to do this on yourself, because you're human too. And as humans, we interpret the world autobiographically. So I'm going to put my stuff on my clients if I don't, even subconsciously, we talk about like, they call it transference and countertransference, and they, get whole chapters at school and teach us, but what does it feel like? And are you even aware that that's happening? There's so much stuff that you're not even aware of that's happening from beneath the conscious awareness that impacts interactions. And when it's good and the other person is feeling heard, understood, it's like, yes, something connects.
Yes.
But when it doesn't, it's like, I learned this in a book, and they're like, something just does not. And that's where that conflict. Yeah, we call that misattunement. And I tell people, I might say something that comes from Steph, like, just feel free to tell me, like, yeah, that didn't hit right. Like, let me be curious about that. But if it falls right, it doesn't mean I know you and I read minds. It just means that there's truth within you that resonated with something that I said. That's a hint as to what your truth is.
That is very true. And like that counter transference, I've experienced that before. And it's funny that you had mentioned it in the books, like in in the books they say like how it is, but they don't say like what the experience is, like what you'll feel. But you know it as soon as you hit it with that countertransference. You're like, nope, I don't want to take this client. This is a mistake. Like, those feelings come up.
You know what's worse though? The sneaky countertransference that you don't even know is there. That you think you're really helping and you think you have the answers, and there's things that you don't know that you don't know that you don't know. And there's things that the client doesn't know that they don't know, and that's just a bad combo.
It's horrible. I've had that experience once so far. Yeah. And it's really bad. It's not fun at all. But it's kind of funny in a way because it's like it's so sneaky and tricky. And then you're like, where is this coming from when you're done with this person? And it's like, it's coming from somewhere. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, but it's like, you know, but you don't know when you're trapped in that emotion.
Yes. Well, CMI it's teaching the person to find out, to uncover it by following that. That's what we call a signal. So when you have that feeling of where's this coming from? And now I know. Every time, not to ruin it for anyone, but you come across a problem or a response, it's you, it's not them. Like, it's you, because it's you that is interpreting the world. So even if, like Sally could be a total jerk and need some skills, but your response to Sally is about you, right? Your desire for Sally to fix her stuff and get her life together so she doesn't make yours miserable, that's also about you. It could be righteous, you could be valid and all that, but it's still... you stay stuck in that loop, because until Sally realizes that she needs to work on herself, you're going to be stuck in dealing with her and being upset about her being who she is.
I agree with you.
We're stuck in the loop.
And that's why at the same time, it's like when a person gets offended by another person, it's like what I've said before. That means that there's something in you that needs to be worked on.
Yes.
Because I've noticed that, like, for example, like people that get mad at another person when in business is a great example, unfortunately, about how so many people are scared that someone else is going to take their proprietary information as an example. And me, I'm like, who cares if they want my stuff? I've already had some of my stuff stolen. I'm just saying. But at the same time, it's like, really, I could be mad, or I can say, you know what, I hope that it works for you, because this didn't work for me, but you don't know that, but that's okay. You figure it out.
If you had asked,
for you, great. I'm happy.
Yeah, probably. Don't take that one. That's kind of got some stuff in it that, well, okay, you got it.
Yeah, but I'm like, that's why I gave that example, is because so many people stop themselves when they want to have a business because they're like, I want to hold on to it, but it's like, reality is someone probably already thought of it, or if they've already thought of it, they just haven't done it. Or once they see your stuff, well, then they'll go and do what they need to. But it's like, why hold on to it? Because
and we call that constriction, right? And it comes from fear, constriction.
Yes.
And you could constrict, but it also keeps you stuck, and you'll forever be stuck.
Yeah, and that's not good for anybody.
Well, you're not going to succeed. Because in order to succeed, you have to be open to success. You have to expand and keep expanding. So it's like, I learned this from actually one business guy that said, a lot of organizations used to put a lot of money into protecting their IP. They paid millions of dollars for lawyers to be, looking to see if anyone's trying to take their IP. And then they realized over time, it doesn't matter. They might save a few $100,000 here or there, but the best protector is be the first to put it out, be the loudest and the biggest, get a brand name like Kleenex or like, that people call it that instead of what it is, a tissue, and you're set. It don't matter that they copy you because your name is out there, and so they realized it was a waste of money to pay lawyers, and they benefit much more from taking that and turning it into like advertising and getting their name out there.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm like, I'm of that mind of just, who cares?
That's awesome, though, too. Expansion. That's the state that you're in, is expansion, and that's how we grow.
Yes, it definitely is. And so, like, a lot of us carry those hidden wounds. And, like, even in the conversation now, like, as we're talking about, like, for businesses even, how does that unprocessed trauma show up in everyday life? because maybe a person's not aware of everything we just talked about, like for the business, like how people get scared. So how is that one way that the unprocessed trauma, if somebody's in business as an example,
Yeah.
how would that show up for them so that they can be like,
So-
oh, hey, this I'm aware of?
Oh, it absolutely affects your performance in the now. And let's look at that instead of just trauma. Let's think critical experience, right? We call it critical
Yes.
because it's an experience that somehow shaped how you view the world, what you believe about business, what you believe about success or whatever it is, or your value. You know, your value,
Yes.
someone else takes your stuff and now you're less valuable, or they took your value or whatever it is. How it shows up all the time is the very fact that how your brain works is how you interpret what's happening right now. Your brain has to go back to what we call the library of experience and use your experience as a reference point. This is happening whether you're aware of it or not. But if there's an experience back there that was not what I call it fully digested, it's like a show that you watch and it leaves you on a cliffhanger, right?
Oh,
And your
yes.
brain, so your brain, so let's say a lot of trauma, this is what happens with trauma, is that you're younger or you're smaller or you're more vulnerable and something terrible happens and you don't know how to navigate through it. It just breaks. Something inside you breaks, or you dissociate, or you're overwhelmed and you're moving on to the next thing that you never really get to process what happened. Well, it stays on the desk of your brain. It doesn't go anywhere. It's an unresolved thing. It's a cliffhanger, and anything in the now that reminds your brain of what happened back then, it's going to pull in, and it's going to pull that experience and this one, and now you're feeling the feelings of back there, not just right here. So now you have all this stuff where someone betrayed you and lied to you, and you just decide to shove them in the closet and never think about them again, cut them off. But now you have a 3-year-old who's, not very connected to reality, and they're lying, and all of a sudden all the feelings of the betrayal come up, and you're like, you will not be my ex, like the rage and the anger. It's just a child brain, but your nervous system thinks that there's the threat right in front of you. The same thing with I really have this dream of a business, and remember when we failed and we never got past it? Remember 7th grade, that kid that watched us and laughed? And we don't even realize that experience is impacting our frozenness, inability to take action in the thing that we really want to pursue right now, because that's how the brain works, is it takes that data. Does that mean you're screwed for life if you didn't have a perfect life? No. The answer is you have to move towards the very thing that you're trying to avoid. That's what's going to hold the key. You have to move towards it. I give the analogy of you ever been in bed and you see a shadow and you're like, oh my gosh, is that a doll? If it was a doll, I would lose it. It'd be over. But you could sit there, and the more you stay in the dark, you're not going to sleep. You're going to stay frozen, and you're not necessarily going to stay safe, because if it really is a psychopath, you're screwed anyway, right?
Well, yes, that's true.
So the first thing you got to do is turn the light on. Turn the light on and move towards that thing that's scaring you. Figure it out. You might find out it's just a coat hanger. You don't know what it is until you go look at it. But so many people try to avoid it and close their eyes and put some tape there and let's do some pretty self-talk and, deny that ever happened. And I'm going to tell myself, and I'll put more posties on my mirror, so that I feel better. And that thing is still there. Just because you put duct tape over it doesn't mean it's not there. So
that's what I think about medication for a lot of the problems that people have. It's all you're doing is you're just covering it up. You're not
kicking
really
the can down. Yeah.
It's not really helping you, and that's why some of the hardest, well, I know for a fact, not some, the hardest work I have ever had to do personally has all been on myself. It's never once been any of the training, learning how to do what I do. It's literally taking the experiences of what I've gone through and then having to overcome them. And that has been the hardest, messiest work that I've ever done. And at the same time, I'm hoping that the other side will always be better. And it turns out that it always has been better.
It always is, yeah.
But
the hardest part, that's the hardest part is, it's me, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, honey, it is. Dang it, I did it again. That's the hardest part. But if it's you and it's painful to see that realization, it also means that you have control. You have
That's
power
true.
over that.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's where the blessing comes from the other side. And that's what I've told people. I'm like, does it feel good when you're in it? No, absolutely
No.
not. Does it feel good when all those memories are coming up and you're having to deal with them and you can't figure out why you've lost your mind 100 million times already? You feel like you're going crazy, like you're getting worse.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's like the other side is beautiful, because it's like, it's almost like with me doing my own work, is what I've noticed is when I've gone through it and I've done it, I don't have the memories of that thing anymore.
They don't have to keep popping up. They
No.
get stored away in like the, you know, the lower, like the not active threats right now anymore.
Yeah, and that's the amazing part, is that that's why I said, like, it no longer bothers. It's like you still have the memory, because it's always going to be there, but
Yeah,
it's
you can
like,
recall it if you want to.
yeah, but it's like you don't need to recall it anymore. Like, you get to that point. So, like, and I was going to say too, I'm glad that you brought up about, like, for the 3-year-old, like, when a person remembers, because there's so many parents with teenagers, and I'm like, okay, even if when you've got a teenager, the teenager is acting out because that's a reflection of you, of how you treated them when they were kids. And, you know, not all the time either, because of, like, if they've got daycare, if they've got other things, you know, that factor into that.
Yeah.
But even at the same time, it's like the child's not there to tick you off. They're there to bring up that reflection of you, because even my 8-year-old with autism does that sometimes to me. He's brought up some of the stuff, and I'm like, oh, because I've done enough work, I'm like, he's bringing up what I need to work on, and I'm so thankful that he's done that. And I've even told him that, because I'm like, thank you, because now this is something I can work on. But the average person that's never done the work would never understand that.
Yeah. Being a therapist, I mean, you know, when my kids were little, and I'm teaching classes on parenting, and I had endless patience for other people's kids. Endless. I mean, they were kids from jail, they committed hard crime. But then you put me at home with my little child, and I'm like, everything would come up, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? And then, like, the therapist side, you know, was like telling me, now, Steph, developmentally, and I want to punch her in the face. You know, it's like, it hits you all at once. Overwhelming.
Yeah. My son with autism.
Oh, that's okay. I'm a mommy too, so I get it.
Well, I appreciate it, because, that's, like I said, that's some of those things that come up, and you're just like, okay. I can relate to you, because I know, like, that's one of my things that I'm like, okay, well, I know how to parent, I know how to do things, but then sometimes even that comes up, like what you just said, I got patience for everybody else, but then sometimes it's like, okay, I got to remember not everybody has the amount of kids that I've got.
No, they don't.
Or right in a row.
That's a lot.
So that's why.
I stopped it too, because I was like, I don't want to go back to prison. I want to stay out. Like, I want to violate my parole, you know? I'm going to stay out.
Well, that's why I even said what I said, because it's like, sometimes it's like I want to be able to do things, and I'm like, okay, but even that stops me because of that reason. It's just like, okay, if I'm going to help somebody else, I have to know my own stuff, you know, that comes up. But then it's kind of funny at the same time, because it's almost like other people put us on a pedestal when we're the ones that are expected to know how to do everything. But then when we have our own issues that come up, it's like the pedestal doesn't really exist. Like, nobody has it all together, even though it appears like it. It's just, we're doing the best we can, but we can help somebody else with something we've already gone through. Like, I can gladly help people, like, in a lot of areas with kids, because I've got the experience of how do you do kids while having a business? How do you do these things? And it's like, for my own self, like I said, keeping in mind, not everybody has soon to be 8 living children total, all 10 and under. Not everybody has that. But here I am doing it, and it's like, just trying to help people through the things that I've already gone through, I can do. So that's why I'm like, I don't like that pedestal that people do put us on when we're in that therapy role, for that reason. And I'm wondering, has that came up for you as well? Like when people have done that, like, oh, well, you're high up here because, well, you should know all these things. But even with you being human, how would this CMI help uncover and break those cycles for those parents? And like even for ourselves who repeat what they were taught.
So I think, first of all, anyone who knows me knows some days I don't even put my shirt on right. Like it's backwards. I will, if there's like a goofy thing to do, I will do it. I just, so imperfect, like just a mess, a hot mess. And if I'm rushing in, I'm telling my clients, I'm like, let me get my life together and then I'll help you with yours. Let me just sit for a second here and like, here's my earrings I forgot to put on this morning. Like just, they already know. Like you're signing up for human to human. That's what you're signing up for. Yes. But, I think this is why with CMI, we're not looking for anything outside of us. If you're putting someone on a pedestal, that means you're looking for a map outside of you and you're going to crash. Because if I took the map of where you lived and tried to get home in my place with your map, it's not going to be accurate. The streets are different.
No.
Right? But we do that all the time. And it should be the skill set, right? So what skill did you use to navigate through your map? But we each have our own map, and the only place we can find that is within ourselves. We have to learn to look within. That means that you have to see yourself just as capable as every other human being and every other adult that is faking it out there, because we're all faking it. Trust me. We're just pretending like we know what we're doing. So
we're hoping that nobody
hoping it
out.
turns out well. Like, yes. It's terrifying. I tell my kid that all the time. She's like, I don't want to be an adult. I'm like, it's the same thing with the kid, just higher stakes, You just pretend you know what you're doing and you keep going. And it's like, oh good, my kids are still alive. I'm winning today.
And I didn't kill anybody today, so we're doing better. Yeah.
Nobody lost an extremity. I think we're good.
Yeah. Nobody went to jail. Nobody got hurt. We're doing good. That's why. Yes, it's definitely a parenting win. That's why I'm like, I like this conversation that we're having, because it's like so many people don't understand that it's like we're all human trying to figure out our own selves. So why compare ourselves to anybody else? It makes no sense. That's why I'm like, if somebody wants to take my stuff, which I've had taken, it's like, okay, great. You appreciate so much what I did. I'm hoping it works for you. Even if it's worked for me or hasn't.
You're like, I'm flattered. I thought that was trash, but okay.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, just take it as it is, in the same sense, because it's like, well, that's okay. I'm like, we're here to help each other. Really what it should be. Instead of the comparison thing and the whole, I'm trying to remember that imposter syndrome. I hate when people sit there and say like the imposter syndrome. I'm like, one, it does not exist.
You're making it up. It's a figment. You're making it up. You decided to put these unrealistic expectations that you can fail at. It's like, I tell people with anxiety when they come in, I'm like, anxiety is just like, you suck at fantasizing. You just be making up stuff in your head and you go for the worst thing. So let's work on improving your fantasies. Like, if you're going to make stuff up that's not going to happen, can't we just pick something better? Like, just...
Well, yeah. That's where that 90% of what you worry about doesn't even happen.
It doesn't. But also understanding why you're worrying, like what is your history and why is your brain persistent on going in that direction? Probably because there's some experience from the past that you have not integrated. You haven't connected. You haven't brought in, and the brain hasn't made the connections where it knows that this thing is no longer happening right now. I'm no longer that 5-year-old. I'm no longer that 10-year-old. I am now an adult, a grown woman that can move out of a toxic situation, that can choose to not engage with somebody that is not healthy for me.
That is true.
That's the updating.
Yeah, and that's where updating that the map is not the territory, like what Richard Bandler has said for the NLP. And that's where I'm like, okay, that explains a lot, because it's like how a person's map, like you said earlier, is different from one person to the next. But even understanding that, like I've heard it before, like in our hypnosis classes, that everything that, it doesn't matter what it is, everything is a positive intention for that person. Even a person that commits a crime, it's still a positive intention to that person
There's a
because of what they've
benefit.
gone through.
Yeah,
there's something.
It makes sense in the context.
Yes, and like the
Yes.
secondary gain that people have, like for example, when somebody's got anxiety, as an example, I've helped people through it. I know that it's easy. It's 5 sessions, person's done. They don't need medicines, all that stuff. Okay. But even at that, it's like you got to look at the secondary gain. What's the benefit that the person has by staying in that anxiety? Who's helping them? What are they getting out of it that they're working on avoiding? Because some of those things aren't talked about.
So I think it would be the
ways.
adaptive, in a CMI context, we would call it the adaptive response, right? Because it's like secondary gain to me feels like you're getting something out of it, but it's like, well, you learn to be that way for a reason.
Yes,
you adapted.
You had to learn it.
Yes, it made sense at some point to do that, and it's serving you something. It's serving a purpose. Just maybe, like, if you lived in Alaska and you have thick jackets for winter and all these like snow boots and stuff, it keeps you alive. But honey, you move to Arizona, you're going to die of heat stroke if that's what you're wearing in July. So it's that you need to update your wardrobe. You need to update your responses. You need to let your nervous system know, hey, we're not in Alaska anymore. So we don't have to use those type of tools anymore. We're not 5 anymore. We're grown now, so we don't have to use that people pleasing anymore. It's not going to kill us to say no and stand up for ourselves. You know, all of those things, they're adaptive responses.
Yes, they very much are. So can you share an example of breaking free from becoming like your own parents?
Oh, so many. I mean, I have my own personal experiences too, but you know, the biggest thing is our parents serve the role of the initial pattern holders. Like we all have like the blueprint for attachment, right? But our parents are the ones that kind of help build that the way it's built up. And when we think that we need to get our parents to recognize and acknowledge us, that's still coming from a child perspective. Like we need that as a kid because we don't have any other reference point. True. When we grow up, where our agency lies, our control, is to recognize that the way they raised us and how whatever they did, whether you agree with it or not, whether you think they did the best they could, or I think my mom could have done a little better, but you know, that's all personal, whatever the judgment is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the sense that I'm not minimizing your experience, but it's not relevant to whether you overcome it or not. What is relevant is how you choose to reparent yourself. Like some modalities call it reparenting. To me, it's just integrating those experiences, bringing them to light, and connecting with the truth. So if my experience was that I was worthless because I was not listened to, I was not acknowledged, my opinion didn't matter, I had to shut down so I can accommodate my alcoholic parent or whatever it is, the truth is every child is worthy. That's the truth, right? So reconciling with the truth would be going back, accessing that experience, because you're only here in the now. You are here in the now. Mm-hmm. Everything else is an experience. And it's encoded in your neural networks. It's like a memory trace network is what we call it, right? That's all it is. It's all, and you have access to that at any given time. So that's how we're activating the experience. When you activate it, the process is called memory reconsolidation. It's a memory that activates that network. When it's activated, you have the power to change how it's stored. Remember we were talking about how memory?
Yes.
You have the power to change it. Now what happens? Most of the time that painful memory comes up. We're like, ooh, I hate it. And we add
don't want to deal with
the misery and we shove it back in the closet. And now it's even worse when it comes up. And every time it pulls up and we reject it, it enhances and enhances and enhances until it's this big ball of dark goo that we don't even want to think about thinking about it because it's so terrible. And we have inadvertently used our power to make misery worse, like a painful thing even worse. So what we're trying to do is do it backwards, is connect. So you go back and whatever memory or experience comes up, whether it's a memory, whether it's a feeling, a felt sense, whether it's a metaphor, because your brain comes up with all kinds of different things. The trick is to be able to hold space for it from a place of agency, what we call dual awareness, that I am here now. That was a past experience, and I am pulling it up, and my body's experiencing it, but I am the experiencer, not the experience itself. I can rewrite that. I can rewrite that. And in that moment, if it is a child that comes up, a child version, we could call it parts work, I have the power to go to that child and hold her. I can take her in my arms and say, little Steph, you're not there anymore. Yeah, Monty, guess what? You learned English, baby. And now you know 2 languages. Like, yes, it was hard, but I've got you now. And you don't have to worry about anyone else accepting you. And that activates another aspect, and now both of those connect, and it turns into something better, bigger, more powerful. That's what we talk about, integration. You have the power to do that. We're teaching people how to do that. We're guiding them through the process.
I love that, because I also was thinking of timeline therapy, as you were talking, like we're floating above the timeline, going back to before it happened. But then at the same time, I was also thinking of, I know there was the parts, there's timeline, and then healing the inner child. So that's essentially what you're doing.
All of those are doing parts of it, right? All of them are doing parts.
That's why I said there's so many moving parts to it. So in the root of like what everything is, of everything we've talked about, what is CMI and how can it help somebody?
So CMI is the modality, the process of helping a person go internally and find the root cause of their current responses. Often come from outdated like data, right? Either adaptive responses or unprocessed memories, underdeveloped skills, like what we call capacities. There's a whole variety of things that could contribute to it, but we are going to stay in the curious state with the client. So, because at the end, we're both surprised where it came from, right? But we teach them to follow what we call the signals. So we see these like symptoms as really adaptive responses that would make sense in context. They're not making sense now. You know, like your over response to your 3-year-old line, it's a little extra. So what does that tell me? Logically, you know it's a little extra because you came to me because you were ashamed of how you responded. So that's a signal. Your tendency to continue staying in the same cycles of relationships or whatever, that's a signal. If you're saying, Steph, I really want to open up this business and I'm terrified, but I know I've looked at the numbers and I think I could do it safely, there's a signal. All of these things, that there's something within you that is telling you this is not who we are, or now something is blocking us from doing what we really want to do, or we're getting stuck in these patterns or themes or whatever it is. All of those is coming from a place within you, not me, within you, that's letting you know there's a better way for you. I can't give you the answers. I don't have the map to you. I've never been you. I've only been me.
True.
Right? So, but what I do have is the understanding of how the brain interprets information, how the nervous system gets wired, how our body responds. Those are the information. That's the stuff that I'm an expert in. And that allows me to help you know how to navigate through this process. I also know that when you get to a very uncomfortable spot and you want to withdraw and pop out, I'm like, keep going. Let's go. Keep going. You're almost there. Get to the, yep, dark, huh? Terrifying? Yep, yeah. You're going the right way. Keep going. Keep going. And what I serve is the role is like the guide, that anchor point on the outside. It's that friend that goes with you to the haunted house. I wouldn't go by myself, but with a friend, and I have someone to tell stories with, right? But you have them there. You can always push them in front of the clown in case it's, really scary.
True.
I put my 10-year-old in front of the clown. I'm a bad mom, man, because I didn't know how terrified of clown was, and I always thought I would die for my kids. I won't. I realized I won't because I fed them to the clowns. Just popped them right in front. But it's, once we connect to that, and that's our role as therapists, is we're walking you through it, we're holding the space, and when you get to the other side, you discover something about yourself. You don't even have to share with us what the journey was like. Most people do, but you don't have to. But you know what? That experience can't be undone, because all of a sudden you become aware of your power. It's like when you go to a magic show. Did you ever learn how like they do the cutting women in half?
Yes,
like
yes.
Right before I was like, oh my gosh, it's so stressful, and it brought up all these feelings. And then once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, kind of
So
like
now
the
you go to a
stage
magic
shows.
show and you're like, oh, that thing again. You know, it's kind of boring now. I can never regenerate the amount of excitement I had before I knew the truth.
Now I'm
This is
thinking
what
of
this does.
Now I was thinking the first time I saw a stage hypnosis show, because people think like the hypnosis that they're making somebody do something. You can't make somebody do something in hypnosis or outer waking life. Like, you can't do that. It's impossible. But I'm thinking about like that very first time. I'm like, it was so cool. And then I realized how the stage shows work and how you gotta have the certain type of personality to do it and all the other things. And I was like, oh well, this is kind of no fun. It took me away because you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. So I like that this is like what you're doing is like what you said, like you're helping the person, like they're becoming aware of it at the same time. And then once they've undone what's been done, they're like, oh, well, I can recognize this. Giving them back their
they
power.
they experience it differently. So we call it re-experiencing, right? From a different angle. And what that does is it wires the way your brain stores it differently. And it's different from desensitizing. Desensitizing is you hit it until it doesn't hurt no more. Like you just,
True.
you know, you numb it out or you shut off the signal. It's like, signal's going off, let me put some duct tape over my, you know, my car, the dashboard, and now it doesn't bother me no more. This is getting to the root of the problem. Why is it even signaling? You know, here's the hard part, Robin, to be honest with you, because I always look at modalities as like, what are the benefits and what are the potential risks? The potential risk is you might not like the answer. So a lot of people want the world to change for them. You offend me, what you do offends me, and I need this to change so that I'm not offended. And
yeah, there's too
we
much of
so
that.
do like that whole cancel culture, you know? And if we go into CMI, you might not realize that you are interpreting situations in a way that is causing that feeling of offense within you. And that's hard. It's hard because if we have to reconcile the truth of this, then it also changes how we see all that we've done throughout our past. And it's like, sometimes it's a little overwhelming, but I promise you it's worth it.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I'm glad you brought up the cancel culture that people are into. And I'm like, that's not helping anybody. You're not looking back at how things were handled back in the 60s, the 70s. You're not looking at how things have changed. You're looking at it as, well, we shouldn't have done this. And that's why when Disney put some of the stuff on there, like they put it on they put it on the corner of the screen. That's all I remember. But they would put those warnings about different things now over this cancel culture deal. But it's like, people, if you don't get the context of it, maybe you should go look it up. Go Google it. Or everybody's new ChatGPT thing. Go do that. Go figure out the history of it.
Yes.
Because if you look at the general history of every Disney movie that came out originally, they were based on a lot of bad things.
And the context of it, and yeah.
Like even Beauty and the Beast. The Beast part, that came from people who were in circus shows that were shown off as freaks because they had hair all over. If you go look at those things, if people studied the history, instead of assuming right away, they would stop a lot of the stuff and be like, oh, now I can understand why things were done the way that they have been done.
Yeah. But we assume because it's our own reference point of experiencing the world. And yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to change those things. And that's why it's like the answers are more inside of you. And if we can get you to understand how to tune into them, it's going to be so much more efficient. Your pathway forward is going to be so much more efficient, so much more effective. And as a clinician, makes me look good. I'm like, I didn't do nothing. All I did was that way, point the compass. And you discovered these brilliant things that I could have never imagined because it's within you. I can only specialize in me.
That's very true. That goes for all of us too. That's why I'm like, I don't like the whole pedestal thing and, well, you should know better because you've done this and done that. But I'm human. Last time I checked, I got a pulse. It still says that I'm human.
Yep.
So before we close our show today, what is the best way for our audience to get in contact with you?
I would say go to our website, arisealliance.org. We have resources there, information there, connect with us there. Yeah, probably that. And any clinicians that let them know about this approach. I think that it's definitely a high demand, and there's only so many of us that can do it so far. We're training people right now, or trying to get more clinicians trained, but more of them need to hear about it. So,
well, that helps, because I think if a lot of people knew more tools on how to help somebody more effectively, I think that would help out the most. And I seriously do think that, because it's like, even people that get scared about hypnosis, I'm like, have you heard of meditation, guided imagery, peak performance? They got a whole bunch of the names for it, but it's like, pick what works for you.
Yes.
Like you said, the clinician makes a difference in that. And I've even found that, like, myself with certain people. I'm like, certain things work, some things don't. So I want to remind everybody to please share Healing for the Soul podcast with everyone that you know. And I encourage you to follow me, Robin Stoltman, on social media, and my guest. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her name.
Estafana Johnson.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So do you still want everybody to find Alliance or
Arise Alliance? Yeah, arisealliance.org. I believe we have like a YouTube channel, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. But look up arisealliance.org.
Awesome. So I want to thank everyone for your time and your energy while listening to today's episode of Healing for the Soul podcast.
That's all for now, folks. Make sure you listen to you for fun. Help that soul bucket to strive. Quack, quack! Bye-bye. Well, next time. Now you got it.